Welcome to the Pop Culture Cosmos.
And we're back with another episode of the Pop Culture Cosmos. It's Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for joining us right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. Don't forget my other shows, the Inside Sports, Fantasy Football, the Lakers Fast Break, all those great shows. Please like and subscribe, and remember to give us that 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. And also, of course, a big, huge, warm holiday hug to our radio stations that still play us on the air after all these umpteen thousand years, and to all the listeners on those radio stations. We're giving you the virtual hug as well, just not trying to make it creepy or anything, just a nice holiday. Or if you want just a handshake, we can do that as well. But it wouldn't be a Pop Culture Cosmos without my good friend indeed. He is, of course, the evil mastermind, the Grinch, per se, of Humanican Media, the Happy Hoarder, and also, along with Brank, what he'll say is probably his elf, his magic elf. It is, of course, the Super BS Games Cast, which you got to catch wherever you get your podcast. I'm also an elf on that show, too. It is, of course, Josh the Great Peterson. What's up, Matt?
Yes, what's up? It's true. I'm the jovial one, so they say, and you and Brank are like my two little elf minions.
Worker elf.
Yeah, we just, instead of delivering toys, we just deliver all the good gaming news to all the good little girls and boys.
There you go, indeed. Well, it's going to be a big week for the gaming scene. We'll talk about a little bit of that. What we won't talk about is the Video Game Awards, which haven't happened as of this recording. That will happen later on in the week. Hopefully we can get a report on that for the PC Multiverse and also the Super BS Games Cast as well. But my friend, there's so much to talk about on this show because it is a loaded week. Did mention the VGAs. It's also a big week for video gaming because Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, it's out for those who ordered the collector's edition and got it 3 days early. For those of us who are waiting on Games Pass or bought the regular standard edition, it tantalizes us. It's waiting. It's on my hard drive, ready to be unlocked, but it's not quite there yet. It is getting a tremendous amount of praise. Some people even talking Game of the Year. Indiana Jones was not this wasn't the Indiana Jones I thought anybody I needed to ask for or just didn't even know they wanted. But Machine Games, masterminds behind the Wolfenstein series that has garnered so much praise itself, has decided a different approach to Indiana Jones. And it looks like it's paid off, my friend.
Yeah, so I was trying to download it today. Actually, for some reason, I thought that it came out Friday, so I was like really excited. I sat down.
It did if you bought the collector's edition.
All right, yeah. So I was really excited. So I sat down. And I was like, "Oh, it's not here," because it's supposed to hit Games Pass on day one, if I am not mistaken. So, definitely gonna try that. And I know,
got it loaded up, baby, right there in my Xbox Series X.
Yeah. It looks great. I mean, I love the Wolfenstein games, and they did a great job with that. And the combat is very fluid in those games, and it looks like, judging by the trailers, that it's similar in this one. I like that there are legitimate like puzzle mechanics. Watching some of the gameplay footage that has been released thus far, it looks like the puzzles they don't hold your hand and give you hints like the Uncharted games do. And I don't know. They don't often drop good games in December, so it's kind of a great time for me to play because I'll be on Christmas break. I'm a high school teacher. I get that Christmas break. But what's funny too is that it is a what am I trying to say? It released itself, or they released the game in a weird pocket of time where it cannot be nominated for the Video Game Awards either this year or next year. So very interesting.
Well, it can't be for next year.
I thought it's January to
I think
November.
then it would make a full year for 365 days. So it would have to be eligible for next year, but It's be
be
that
old
as it may.
by then.
With depends on the publication. Like for instance, the Pop Culture Cosmos and Super BS Gamescast, it will be eligible for that. Just for those dang blasted VGAs which want to go early and they evaluate games basically what January or December, November. Even if it's a November game, I think it's really hard for them to evaluate in enough time as far as to get that out there by December. What in this case, December 12th. So I don't know. The VGAs again. We'll go ahead and discuss that later this week. But for this game, it will be on several top 10 lists. It will be on several Game of the Year lists for other outlets out there that are willing to sneak it in. It reminds me of what Nintendo used to do because remember, Nintendo for several years would always bring out like one game on the first week of December, and it wouldn't care if it was on the VGAs or not. So I don't mind because the game looks polished. There's a minimal amount of bugs so far from what we're hearing. And to me, if the game is already like that in that state, as soon as we get our hands on it, I'm cool with whatever it comes out.
Yeah, I am too. Like I said, they don't often drop, games of this magnitude in December, and there's a good time to do that because a lot of people will have time, in between Christmas and New Year to play stuff like this. So I think
Or
that
get an Xbox.
or get an Xbox. Yeah, what better motivation could you possibly have for asking the old Santa Claus for an Xbox, which is actually still on sale at most places. You can still get one for about $425, $450, somewhere thereabouts.
Or even under 400. Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, though, this is where it gets me on Microsoft. Microsoft has not done a very good job of promoting its products. Starfield is the one exception. But they've got to go. They've got a real winner on their hands, and they have to go out of their way, put the money down for commercials on football all month long. Go ahead and put it there. Wherever you else need to put it, you need to put it on Netflix. You need to put it on Amazon, any streaming service as far as their ads are concerned. Now is the time to push your product. If you're Phil Spencer, I'd go to the head of Microsoft and say, you know what? Open up those wallets. Start putting out some ad money. We've got a winner on our hands. I've seen several 5 stars. I've seen a lot of 9 out of 10s. A lot of 9 out of 10s. It's got an 87 right now on Metacritic. It actually went up from its original 85. So it went 85, 86. It's actually going up because more people are liking it. That tells me, my friend, by the time we get our hands on it, we might be seeing something pretty darn good.
Yeah, absolutely. And as we know, in the modern gaming landscape, it is incredibly challenging to get anything over a 6. So if their game is already coming out the gate that hot, and we see, you see a rise, an uptick in Xbox sales or Game Pass sales on PC, like that's definitely means you're doing something right. And there is hope yet for Xbox. I know Avowed is supposed to drop in February, right?
That is correct.
So
Yes.
they've got 2 major releases coming out within 3 months of each other. So
Well,
definitely,
they got Stalker 2 that just came out, and Microsoft Flight Simulator. Both have buggy starts, a lot of patches later. We've talked about this on the BS Gamescast. Those are not too bad as I guess supporting cast members themselves.
yeah. Okay, so what's crazy here is that if Xbox plays their cards right, like they've had so many projects that they've been talking about but haven't dropped for it's been a long time since we've seen it, any of these games. Especially, there's a lot even from the very first Series X conference that have yet to drop. So they play their cards right. Like, what if we get into January and they're able to drop a game either every month or every other month? I mean, I can see the console sales go, rise, see on that old graph. And this could very well be 2025 could very well be the year of Xbox.
Could be, my friend. And it all starts off with, of course, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny getting great reviews. Probably one of the best reviewed Xbox games in quite some time. Maybe if you count the Forzas in there, Forza Horizon 5, certainly. Forza Motorsport was pretty solid. Halo Infinite a few years back, but of this decade, it is one of the best reviewed games of this decade. And by the time that most people hear this, we'll already be playing it. So hopefully we can give you our thoughts in the coming weeks on this game. But if you out there have played or are going to play Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, it was, the Indiana Jones game we didn't know we needed, but we're certainly darn glad to have it out there. Please let us know your thoughts. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. But before we hit the break, 2 other gaming notes, my friend. Marvel Rivals is also out and about, my friend. Also another game that, if you're interested, it's a superhero based team P versus P, player versus player mode on that as far as the shooter within the confines of the Marvel universe. It is a free to play game, so I'm sure microtransactions is the key on this one. Your thoughts on Marvel Rivals? Has it come to your attention very much? But you are a comic book man to know, and comic book and video games, they don't always come together, but so far, seemingly so good for Marvel Rivals.
Yeah. So I've kind of been keeping a little eye on this one. It looks, I don't know, it looks okay. It's a massive, it's a multiple. Hold on, man, 1 second.
Mm-hmm. All right. On that note, it is, of course, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much again for watching, listening. Truly appreciate you doing so. Of course, it is Marvel Rivals. It is a free-to-play hero shooter, PvP. For those out there looking for something interesting to go ahead and play for this upcoming December. So it'll be something that we'll be looking forward to. So, Josh, you said you've been taking a little bit of a keen interest in Marvel Rivals. What are your thoughts out there on Marvel Rivals, and is it something you are going to get into?
Probably not. I mean, it looks cool. I think the last Marvel game I got into is Ultimate Alliance. We actually, so when I was coaching esports this year, we dabbled a little bit in Marvel. What's the card game that has been out there? What is that one called?
Ooh, I forget. I know which one you're talking about too. Let me go ahead. I'll look that up. You do that. Champions.
Champions. Yeah. Is that it? I don't.
No. Okay, that's the more that's the box base, but I'll look it up for you. All right, Marvel card video game, Marvel Snap. Is that it? I think that was it. Yeah. Okay.
We dabbled in that one.
Yeah, it is. Go ahead, my friend.
I was gonna say we dabbled in that one a little bit. I haven't played in Marvel games since the Ultimate Alliance. I don't know, man. They just don't appeal to me that much. And like this one looks like it could be cool, but also I don't think I'm gonna be able to devote the time to play it. And I don't. It doesn't look like something I'd be interested in playing.
Rough Artist, Marvel Rivals is not on Game Pass. It is a free-to-play game, however, so it should be easy to download and find. I believe it is available out on all systems, or will be coming out on all systems. If it hasn't already, I'll be checking up that on this here in a second. But for Indiana Jones, that comes out tomorrow on day 1. If you have Ultimate Game Pass, Indiana Jones and the Indiana Jones and the I was going to say Dial of Destiny, but Indiana Jones and the Circle of Destiny, that does come out on Monday as we're talking about this now. So yeah, definitely looking forward to seeing what people think about Marvel Rivals. Not getting as great reviews as Indiana Jones and the Circle of Destiny, but it is still something that's getting solid reviews. So definitely people are going to give it a shot out there because it's a free to play. So we'll definitely look forward to seeing what you guys think about it when it comes out. Because Marvel Rivals is, I think, already, and some people have access to it already. So looking forward to hearing everybody's thoughts on it. But Josh, last thing I wanted to hit you up with before we head to the break. 30 years of PlayStation as I bring up Marvel Rivals here right now. It is coming out on all systems, by the way. It is out on all systems, I should say. 30 years of PlayStation. Your thoughts, my friend, on 30 years of PlayStation before we get to the break. We didn't mention this last week, so I felt like I was neglecting it. I know the Super BS Games cast were kind of oversight as well, but came out on the 3rd, 30 years ago. It's flown by, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. It does not seem like it was that long ago, but also like I was a kid, right, when the PlayStation 1 came out. I think I was 6 when that dropped. Um, but yeah, that's definitely they've been around for a while. I mean, and it's sad to say though, they're more game. I think there's a bigger pool of people who like Sony products because a lot of people have that history, right? They grew up with it. They grew up on the PlayStation 1 playing Spyro the Dragon, Crash Bandicoot, Resident Evil. Um, whereas Xbox came out, I want to say it was 7 years later.
Mm-hmm.
But so yeah, I mean they have a longer time to resonate in people's memories. But yeah, I mean I've had every PlayStation console since the first one, and I definitely have a lot of great memories there. I mean, I've actually been thinking about writing a lot of pieces on some of my first time playing a lot of these games, but it's definitely PlayStation is we say a lot of things about the Sony fanboys out there, but they've definitely earned their keep. Both in fiscally and in the hearts of gamers everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's been something I think that a lot of people will always enjoy as far as the systems are concerned. Uh, and Indiana Jones, I'm assuming, is going to be coming to PlayStation at some point in time in 2025. So that's another big bonus as well for you guys that are PlayStation hardcore fans out there. But PlayStation for me over the years, I didn't get into it until really the PS3. I was day one PS3. Actually, was in a crowded, I think it was a crowded Kmart of all places, and I got there was like two, and then they called our number. They called the number of my niece, and my niece was there. She was just hanging out, just wanted to be part of the fun because it was all there was like a full entire store full of people, and she said, I won. Oh wait, I can't afford $700. You buy it, Uncle Gerald. So she gave me have it,
Yeah.
and I remember I had to call my bank because they like, why are you spending $700? I'm on buying a PlayStation 3, dude. So my friend said, here, he gave it in cash because I know you're good for it. All right, so I got him the money for that. So yeah,
You know,
it was just weird how that worked out. But yes, I got the PlayStation 3, enjoyed the 60 gig while I had it, but obviously that had some issues as far as the proprietary uh, software. Third party makers had a hard time trying to make software for it. It kind of suffered because of the high price tag. The PlayStation 2, I kind of got into that after I got my PlayStation 3 because I wanted to go back in time and play a lot of those games that I was really enjoying from that time that I didn't enjoy at that time. The PlayStation is the one I really never got into. I was into the Sega Saturn around that time. I think that was more important to me at that time, and also my Nintendo 64. I just never got into the PlayStation. I don't know why. It just never seemed appealing to me at that time. I've actually owned a PlayStation since, so it's kind of weird how that worked out. But PlayStation 4 is really where it kicked in for me, Josh. I really enjoyed the PlayStation 4. It is one of the most popular of all time in regards to the systems as far as system sales is concerned, with good reasons. I still have my Uncharted PlayStation 4 right below me here, so it's something that you know the PlayStation 5 isn't living off the PlayStation 4 success. You could say to an extent that it is, but be that as it may, Josh, PlayStation over 30 years has made its mark in the industry, and whether you love them or you hate them, you cannot deny their overall success.
no, for sure. So it's funny you talk about the Nintendo 64. So I had a Sega Genesis as a kid, and I remember there was that one Christmas. So the Nintendo 64 had been out, I want to say, for about a year, and there's that one Christmas. I asked my mom and dad, I'm like, hey, I want a Nintendo 64 for Christmas, and they went to the store to get one, and the guy working there convinced them to buy me a PlayStation instead because the guy there said that it was going to be the next big thing. And so, lo and behold, it was, this is before I had any knowledge of the Sega Saturn, nonsense and the E3 drop of the PlayStation. But they bought me that PlayStation, and for Christmas, I think I got, Jet Moto 2 was the first game they got me on that. Yeah, remember those used to come with those demo discs that had all the games. So I remember playing, what was it, Legacy of Kain and Spyro the Dragon. There's just so many great games, and Abe's Odyssey, and I was sitting there like, this is so much cooler than Nintendo 64. But then what was great about PlayStation back then though is they drop games all the time. Like if you notice across the generations, there are subsequently less and less video games coming out in in the certain span of time. So PlayStation 1, 2, 3 even had pretty consistent gaming releases, and then PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5, as they slowed down significantly. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that games are just more expensive to make these days, and they take longer for at least a good experience.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, the legend of PlayStation continues to live on as a stalwart of the video game industry. But if you have thoughts or memories of your time with PlayStation, we would love to hear them. We would want to hear your thoughts on that. So again, do you have any memories of PlayStation over the course of the 30 years as they celebrate the 30th anniversary just this past week? Please let us know. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, one breakdown. We got a few more to go right here on the show. Want to go ahead and hear your thoughts on this because absolutely been a lot of stuff going forward as far as what we're seeing and viewing out there as far as movies are concerned. I know there's one that you probably might be a maybe for us, but in the box office realm, it is still, even with a 50+% drop, it is still Moana 2 dominating the box office with the best week after Thanksgiving, I guess, ever for the box office. So that's great news.
Hold on, where did we say that was going to, we predicted something last week about where that was going to end up this weekend. What did we say? I think it was about 500,000, I think was my prediction.
500 million.
Or 500 million. Yeah, sorry. I'm pretty sure that's what I predicted it would be at, but lo and behold, here we go, 600 million.
It's at 600 million plus. It will probably, if not already, by the time we're speaking, or by the time you hear this, it will probably already have passed the worldwide gross of the original Moana. But again, it goes back to Moana being such a success on streaming, Josh, as the most streamed movie of all time for Disney Plus, and I think of all time period, which is, I don't know about that. I'd have to say, because comparatively speaking to Netflix, I'd have to really go into the numbers. I've seen it, some articles say just Disney Plus. I've seen it, others say of all time. Moana, you cannot doubt the success it's had on streaming, and it's seeing that kind of success translate into a movie, Josh, and Moana 2 that really has earned the numbers. Wicked is earning a lot more here in the States than it is overseas. And then Gladiator, that's the one I think that's, I don't know if you're going to call that a success at the end of the day, Josh. It cost over $200 million to make, and it's probably going to be somewhere around $400 million when all's said and done. Would you say it's a success? Or would you say it's something that's a wait and see for Gladiator 2?
I don't know. That's tough. So we're sitting, I mean, it is pretty low. I mean, so I'm looking at this year, at least, anything on the south side of 500 million is pretty, not amazing compared to some of the, because I mean, look at how many films we have. 7 films that have crossed 500,000 so far this year. We're at the end of the year, but like that's the benchmark. Gladiator 2, you would think, is a movie that had so much names behind it that it would be up there. But I don't think that it's, like I said before, I don't think it's a movie that people wanted necessarily. I think it's a movie that people are going to see because it's there, but it's not something that, there's not a lot of drive for people to go see it. I'm not sure what Ridley Scott's last film did. What was his last movie?
His last movie, you'd have to go look it through because he
Man,
wasn't credited with the directing the Alien movie. That's Alien Romulus. Romulus was not him.
yeah,
So,
Napoleon. It looks like, and I heard that one's pretty bad too. So
oh yeah, the one on Apple. Yes.
yeah, yeah. So I've and what I'm reading too from a lot of interviews, like Ridley Scott, like we talked about last week, is now just kind of making films and rushing through them to get them done. And I think that at his age, not to be morbid, but I think he's kind of looking at things like how much more time do I have to make a lot of this stuff, and you're just not getting the quality out of it that you once did. So I don't know. I mean, sorry, that's kind of a tangent. I don't know if I answered your question there, but with
Yeah.
Gladiator 2, I don't think it's a movie that people are necessarily like dying to see. I have a feeling that when it hits streaming, like it's going to blow up. But I don't know how how those metrics are, are counted there.
Well, we'll definitely see if that's how it pans out in regards to Gladiator 2. But Wicked has done really well here in the States, and of course also worldwide. Moana 2 has been a smash hit, so we'll see how that plays out. But before we head to the break, I wanted to ask you about your thoughts on some upcoming movies, my friend. Nosferatu, which is being slowly released out there as far as it's concerned. I use that term like that because it is a very creepy and new look at the world of vampires and Dracula. Your thoughts on Nosferatu? It's been equated to like an art house version of the Dracula genre. It's also been very highly complimented on the imagery in there. So tell me your thoughts on Nosferatu and if this could be a movie that might scare up or take a chunk into or a bite into the Oscars at some point in time.
I'm interested in this. I will be honest. Like I like those old like gothic horror movies, and this is one of those characters that is really cool to see it brought to the modern screen. Is Bram Stoker, right? Did he do the
Bram
original?
Stoker's Dracula, yes.
Yeah, because there was a Nosferatu movie done way back in the day too, right? As part of like the classic monster collection, if I remember
Yes.
correctly. But yeah, I mean it looks good. I am it'd be great if they would do modern updates of all those old movies and kind of bring a new generation of moviegoers in to see them. But my curiosity is definitely peaked with this one, and I don't know if I will get to go see it in theaters, but it's definitely something when it comes out in whatever format, I'll probably sit down and check it out.
Nicholas Holt is that's the funny one right there as far as him finding this kind of success, and especially going back to the Dracula genre after he was in the Dracula genre last year with Nicolas Cage in a kind of different version of the Dracula genre, if you remember correctly on that
Mhm.
one. So,
Yeah.
uh, but
Do you
I'm
think
very.
he's a leading man?
Do I think he's a leading man?
Yes.
Not yet. I don't think he's earned it yet. I do know the Juror Number Two movie,
Hmm.
the Clint Eastwood movie. He's garnering a lot of praise for that. We'll see how far that goes. I know for him here, he is not the main draw or main reason why, as far as you want to go see this film by Robert Eggers, but it's something where I think that he just hasn't found that vehicle yet that has put him over the top as a box office draw. And in today's market, where box office draws are really hard to come by, my friend, because we don't have that many people that can just sell on based on their name. I know that I was reading an article the other day about as far as Jonathan Nolan, his films, based off his name that now sells tickets. I don't know if there's many actors like even The Rock can't sell movies the way he used to based off his name. So yeah, Nicholas Holt, I don't think he's a box office star, or I don't think he's a top star, but in the right film, in the right format, I think he can still give you a great performance.
Yeah, I agree. What was it? Warm Bodies. That was the first thing I remember seeing him in, and I thought he was great. He that was for that type of movie. But I noticed he's getting because that was a comedy, and then there was X-Men, and he was just more of a side character. But he's starting to get more and more prominent roles, and now it's actually causing me to sit back and ask myself, like, oh, is he a leading man? Like, can he carry his own movie? Is he one of those actors that's primed to win an award at some point? And maybe, yeah, he might be.
He might be indeed. I wanted to mention as well, JSJ was on the Lakers Fast Break. He's in the chat now, I believe. He had asked me, hey, Gerald, are you going to go see Y2K? I really want you to go ahead and share your thoughts on Y2K. Well, I'm not sure he's feeling the same way now, because Y2K, which is a concept in regards to what happened, the paranoia regarding turning from 1999 to 2000.
Yep.
Actually, my late father, he bought into it. And he was actually trying to do some relating businesses off of that. In fact, he had emails and whatnot based off of the Y2K concept. And of course, we know for the most part nothing happened. But this movie says, what if something happened on Y2K in regards to like Final Destination-ish, as far as once the clock ticked to Y2K? Your thoughts on this, my friend? It just really got thrashed at the box office, earning only $2 million this past weekend domestically. It will probably be forgotten about by the time that you and I have already hit the airwaves on this.
Yeah.
The only thing is, as far as the young lady who's the stars in it, she's going to be the next Snow White. So I think she's getting more notoriety for that, as opposed to what she's doing here in Y2K. It seemed like a good idea at the time, but having it done so many years later, I think the nostalgia, like you say, doesn't always wear well from one time to another.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Has Snow White come out yet?
No, that's out next year. But the trailer did drop this past weekend. Boy, have the internet had a lot to say about it.
Because it feels to me like they've been talking about it for so stinking long that it should have come out like a year ago.
No, they're on their way, and the CGI dwarves are on their way with them as well. So yes,
I saw the CGI doors. Not impressed with that.
That's part of the reason why there's a talk on the internet. But
yeah, and maybe it could be, I could be wrong. You know, maybe it could they could be funny or whatever. But I mean, I look at them, I'm like, this is not something I take my kids to see. It's kind of a little bit scary looking.
Yep, but we'll see what happens. Y2K, it is again out. Last thing I want to talk about is something for you and I, and that is it's coming out this week. Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrum. I can't believe I said it like that. So, your thoughts, my friend, on Lord of the Rings, War of Rohirrum. Got to roll your R's on that one, my friend. It's a prequel, just to let everybody know, of the events. Yeah. Yes.
So it is made by the director of Akira, and you could kind of tell by the animation style. You can see that, you know, the way the camera moves and the cuts happen. You can tell it has an slight Akira vibe to it. I'm intrigued. You know, like I will go see anything Lord of the Rings. Like I've said before, like, and even The Hobbit. You know, any excuse I get to go back to Middle Earth is a good one to me. And I am definitely, you know, this has been on my radar for a really long time. It's just I don't want to see a continuation. Like, I don't want, like, 1 or 2 animated films is fine. I don't really have any desire to see like a lot of them, because I prefer the story in live action. But that being said, the animation on this film does look very beautiful, and I do plan to go see it. Hopefully, you know, sometime in the next couple of weeks.
We'll see what happens if it does connect with the audience. I don't have high hopes for this film as far as making money at the box office, no matter how good it is. It's just because I don't. It just does not seem like a movie that this time of the year is going to generate that much interest unless it gets that much buzz. And I'm not sure it's going to get that much buzz, my friend. That's the thing I'm worried about. And, you know, had this gone straight to streaming as a Warner Brothers day and date movie,
yeah,
I think that probably would have served it better than just being released to theaters, you know, a few weeks before Christmas. It's probably going to get, you know, of course, pardon the pun, snowed under by a whole lot of other movies coming out the same Christmas time.
Yeah, and part of me wonders if they were afraid that it wasn't going. I mean, they're testing the waters with it, and that's why they put it at the release date that they did. Because otherwise, like, yeah, you're right. This should be like a a summer or early holiday release to gather, to build momentum. So yeah, I mean, it's a really great question, and I don't know, but I hope that it does well. We need more. We need to go back to Middle Earth. We need to as many trips to Middle Earth as we can. Like, and we never got a chance to talk about season 2 of Rings of Power, but it's even starting to captivate me a little bit. So I think that there are a lot more stories to be told in Middle Earth.
I'll just say this: Rings of Power was okay. It was a decent watch for me. I still like being involved in the Lord of the Rings universe. I know that the movies are upcoming as far as the Hunt for Gollum, etc., 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 coming down the pike. So yes, we'll all be looking for that. But yeah, I definitely hope I can get a chance to see Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim coming up as well. But everyone out there, are you going to go ahead and catch Y2K? Probably not, because it's already going to be out of theaters here in a couple weeks. Are you going to go ahead and catch Nosferatu, which might become an award favorite? We'll have to wait and see. Or Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim? Please let us know your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, 1/2 hour down, 1/2 hour to go here, my friend, on the Pop Culture Cosmos. It is Josh the Great Peterson from Humanity Media, the Happy Hoarder, and the Super BS Gamescast, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching this thing. Truly appreciate it. My friend, I want to go ahead and ask you on some TV time now. First things first, speaking of Warner Brothers, which we closed out the first half of the show with, of course, Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim. There's another thing that's actually, they are debuting on their Warner Brother Max format, and that is Creature Commandos. So your thoughts, this is the start of James Gunn's DC Universe. He's been all over the place in recent days. I want to hear your thoughts on this as we go into a new line and a new way of what this DC Universe is all about. Hit me up, man. Tell me your thoughts on Creature Commandos, which starts off another ragtag team in the DC Universe.
That seems to be James Gunn's calling card right there. Those ragtag teams. I've not had a chance.
They're both doing it because Thunderbolt's next year for Marvel.
Yeah, that's right. And Peacemaker, and apparently the Suicide Squad 2 is still canon.
Supposedly.
Yeah, supposedly, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think what worries me here, and I know we've talked, and I'll get to Creature Commandos in a minute, is that James Gunn is amazing at telling jokes, and I am afraid that most of what he's going to do is going to be a joke, and that, especially you have serious characters like Superman and Batman, and you have Constantine. Like, I'm afraid that it's all going to be one big joke, and that's something I really hope doesn't happen. As for Creature Commandos, yeah, I mean, I'll watch it. It looks all right. It seems like there's a lot of it seems like an animated form is a really weird way to kickstart a universe, but maybe he's trying something that's never been done before. What are your thoughts, though? Is this something you're going to sit down and watch?
I'll probably sit down and watch it, but I'm not really looking forward to it. I don't really find it that interesting, to be honest with you. I think that I do like what he did with of course, Suicide Squad, and I do like what some of the things that he's done with Peacemaker, because he's finished season 2 of Peacemaker, and that should be on the waiver, I think, in January, if I'm not mistaken, as well. I just, like you said, is everything going to be a joke to James Gunn? He's got the new Superman movie on the way. I don't know. I'm just not as jazzed for this thing, maybe because I was let down so much and so often by the Snyderverse. I'm hoping he'll prove me wrong, though, with his idea of a new DC universe.
Yeah, I hope so too. I'm honestly, like, until we see Superman, until we get to sit down and watch Superman, we won't know, because Superman is the linchpin of that universe. And if he flub Superman, then I think it's going to be a really big telling on what the rest of that world is going to look like.
Oh, he'll
And
be roasted to no end, my friend.
for sure. And then Warner Bros. Is gonna have to go back and rethink everything again. And I hope that doesn't happen, but also I still would have loved to see, because I think there were like 2 more films in the Snyderverse that were supposed to happen, and I would have loved to see how that played out still. But I'm willing to give him a shot.
As long as you are, my friend, I'll probably have to give it a shot as well, and we'll go ahead and compare notes when we're able to. But if you have thoughts out there on the new imagining of the DC universe, please let us know your thoughts. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, before we go ahead to the final break, some other things I want to go ahead and ask you about. I have seen the first 2 episodes because I know Cool Bro asked me already. Skeleton Crew, my friend.
Oh yeah, I forgot that came out.
That dropped first 2 episodes on Disney Plus. I know that Star Wars has not had the greatest year ever.
Yeah.
From what we saw with the Apprentice before, and what's going on with that. Man,
Is this one of those it happened situations, or is it
it's
actually?
happened. It's all right. It's there. The first few minutes, I will tell you, is a dead ringer, shot by shot of A New Hope. I'll tell you
Okay.
that much right there. As far as the start, yes, it's like very obvious. It's not even close to being trying to do anything different. It's trying hard to be the next Goonies of Star Wars. If you combine Goonies and Star Wars, there you go. First couple episodes, you'd barely see Jude Law. Jude Law by the end of the second episode. So if you're looking for Jude Law from the get go, you're seeing him like in a little bit of the first episode at the beginning, and then you'll see him a little bit at the end of the second. So it's mainly just to get to know the kids, and it is so hard for adults, as it does adults, to try and continue to be entertained by dialogue, constant dialogue by kids that are under, that are supposedly playing under the age of 12, whatnot. It's so hard for us to relate, and they're trying to have conversations. They're trying to go ahead and, spout exposition, and it is just so incredibly hard for us to, as adults, to continue to try and find it entertaining. I thought it was all right, I guess at best. It wasn't bad, but it just certainly wasn't something that I'm going to go rush out and make sure I drop every episode that I've been seeing. So, your
Yeah.
thoughts, my friend, on the Skeleton Crew from Disney Plus?
Uh, all I know are about the reviews that I've read. And the reviews that I've read have all said like, oh, it's a fun trip through a galaxy far, far away, and that's all I really know about it. I like Jude Law. I like the concept of Jude Law being in a Star Wars something. So this is probably I will, I guess, hopefully during the next few weeks, sit down and watch this one. But I like, we've talked about this a lot before, but like Star Wars is it's so hard to get back into Star Wars, especially with a lot of the errors that they've made in the past few years. So once I know where Star Wars is going, I might be more inclined to kind of catch up on some of the things that I've missed.
It's just for me again. I'll get to it when I get to it and finish off when I can. I'll probably just wait until all the episodes come out and maybe burn a couple, 2, 3 at a time.
Yeah.
Because it's just not something I like. I gotta go see it. I gotta see it. It's just it's trying hard to be the Goonies in the Star Wars universe, and for me, it's not succeeding. Although I'm not a huge fan of the Goonies in the first place. I know, that's terrible to some people out there, but I thought it was okay. Goonies was okay. I didn't think it was the be all end all when I saw it back in the 80s, but it is what it is. But it's trying very hard to do the same things and replicate the same things as far as the Goonies in the Star Wars universe. Kind of weird though, Josh, when you look at it. If I don't know if you've seen the trailer that I just showed there, but it's kind of weird when you have this like residential neighborhood in a Star Wars setting, kind of like similar to what we saw with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. How they had the alternative planet there, that was created that had the generic tracked home tracks.
Yeah.
And I'm like seeing that in Star Wars. It's just like this is weird, and it's all kids. There's very few adults until you get to the pirate, because it's dealing with piracy and whatnot. There's just dealing with the pirates. But when you live in this regular world, like everybody's at work. It's like they all left these, like we used to call them latchkey kids. Okay, there you go. We're entrusting you to go to school, kids. Do everything you need to do on your own. And I'm like, okay,
And that's where the Goonies elements coming in. I'm sure
yeah,
trying to make it feel like a '90s, some kind of '90s comedy
yeah.
or something.
So it is what it is. But if you have an interest in it, please let us know. Pop Culture Cosmos for Skeleton Crew. Right there, popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. But before we head to the break, my friend, one last thing I want to hit you up with is coming out this week. The much discussed, much talked about, much maligned in some areas, and some people do have praise for it, from the creator of Love, Death, and Robots. It is Secret Level. It's an anthology based off of over a dozen video game properties and Concord. So
Yeah, there's that.
there's that. That's the one I'm curious about, because that's the last remnants of Concord. Although I hope one day they'll just, like, somebody will hack Sony and just like leak out all the the cutscenes that they had already in the can for Concord. But your thoughts on Secret Level and Anthology? I think it looks good. I think it looks interesting. I don't know if it will end up being so. I know that they haven't garnered great reviews for it, like Love, Death, and Robots has for Netflix. Your thoughts on Secret Level on Amazon?
I've been interested in it ever since I heard about it. Can I watch it now? Is it out?
It's going to be out, I think, on the 10th. No, the 12th. 12th. Is it
Okay.
12th? No, 10th. 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 It's 10th. My bad. My bad.
Okay.
10th.
Yeah. So from what I've read about it, it's a lot of it feels like a Love, Death, and Robots episode. I think Black Mirror. I think the guys that do Black Mirror are behind it. So yeah, they said it feels like in a season of Black Mirror if it were based on popular franchises. And I think to myself, like, well, you wouldn't have got the people that did Black Mirror to do it unless that's kind of the feel you were going for. So if that's true, then it sounds like they succeeded. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely something I'm going to watch. I'm definitely interested in seeing what's what. Especially they did a the Horizon. It's Horizon, right? Horizon and God of War also have episodes in this one. So yeah, definitely interested, man. Are you gonna sit down and watch this?
Yes, I am. I actually am. I don't care about the bad reviews for it. We sat through Halo this year, my friend.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, God forbid we can't sit through something else. And I told you before, I support the video game industry when and wherever I can. So I'm going to do that again with Secret Level, hoping that my numbers of viewing, my hours of viewing will contribute to maybe a better season down the road with better properties. I understand one of the arguments of it is, oh yeah, it's just a marketing ploy for all these different games.
They're already out though. I mean, what kind of marketing ploy could there be if people haven't bought them already? What's going to make them go out? It's watching a 20-minute segment's going to make them want to go out and buy it.
Yeah, it's just so weird because people, these fans of these games say, man, I would love to see like more into this world of blah, blah, blah game. And I'm like, they're giving it to you.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Stop complete. You can't have your cake and eat it too, man.
Yeah. So there you have it, folks. Again, it is Secret Level. It's an anthology of video games, different video games that are over the course of either that are active right now or have in the past. So go ahead and check it out this week on, I believe, on the 10th, if I'm not mistaken. It is, of course, Amazon Prime. It's going to be right there for you. Please let us know your thoughts if you are excited to go ahead and check out Secret Level, and we'll share our thoughts on it in upcoming episodes as well. Maybe even on the Super BS Gamescast coming up hopefully later this week. We'll go ahead and check that out, along with some updated information on Indiana Jones and the Circle of Destiny.
Dial of Death. No.
Oh, it's not.
It's a movie, right? Dial of Destiny was the last movie. It's a circle of.
Yes. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. For God's sakes,
Well,
Gerald,
there
get that
we
right. Yes, there you
go.
go.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. My God, sucks getting old. But please let us know your thoughts. Popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. Well, my friend, for the last segment, I thought I was going to get away from the VGAs, but since we tightened everything up and was actually ran through everything pretty quickly, I guess we got to go ahead and cover it, my friend, on the VGAs. I know that we've already talked about on the Super BS Gamescast our predictions on the VGAs as far as games are concerned and the winners, and we've already had our issues. Talked about, the fact that I don't think that they should have allowed DLC or a remake, in my opinion, because there's a DLC in there and also as well a remake in there as far as the games of the year. Have you had some more time to reflect on it, and before we get to predictions on maybe some video games that they'll announce or video games that they'll show coming out to VGAs? Do you have some thoughts on the VGAs themselves and those, especially those game of the years right there?
Yes. I mean, on no, really. Like, I think what is currently nominated are the games that we all kind of knew would get nominated. Because I'm trying to think of like
Well,
what
I
came
didn't think
out.
Erd Tree would be nominated. Come on.
Well, yeah, but I mean, as far as like Final Fantasy, Astrobot, and hold on, let me look at the VGA nominations again.
Game of the year. I'll bring it up right now, right there on our screen here. Give me just a second. But yeah, I still have a problem. I'm still very bothered by it. It's like maybe they're going to announce it. Somebody jokingly I heard on a show I was dealing with um, earlier this week joked about how they put Erdtree Elden Ring's DLC in there because they're going to announce something with Elden Ring or Elden Ring 2 on the show, and that's what got them to dance there. If
Yeah.
that's the case, then again, this awards show shouldn't be on at all. If that's the case, but you
So
know,
there's a lot of people who've been not accusing, I guess, yeah, accusing him of doing that, but which has actually prompted FromSoft to issue a statement on the fact that they are not doing an Elden Ring sequel. So maybe there's some other FromSoft game that they're going to be, pimping, so to speak, at the VGAs. I don't know. It's hard to say. Yeah, it just seems weird that an expansion would get a nomination. Balatro is kind of a weird one. I know people like it, but it's not like your typical it's not your typical game of the year nomination. So
I know.
Astrobot.
Well, I know a rough artist in our chat is talking about Black Myth Wukong, but it only has an 81 right now on Metacritic, so it is nowhere near as much beloved by the critics, rough artist, as Astrobot or Balatro.
Yeah, well,
I'm not going to count the other two because those, again, I have issues with them being in this category.
yeah, we kind of talked about that issue on the Super BS, right? Like they kind of screwed themselves over when they put out that that thing saying don't talk about whatever the social stuff was in your reviews of the game. I think they kind of rubbed a lot of people the wrong way with that. So that might have been a detriment to it winning the game of the year. So I'm currently looking at Astrobot or Final Fantasy taking home the grand prize here.
Well, I think Astrobot is probably, to me, the favorite going in, to be honest with you, because I think that it has just garnered so much goodwill, and on the verge or the aftermath of the 30 years of PlayStation, I think it fits. If that makes sense, yeah. So I just think that's probably going to be the one that I haven't played it yet. I mean, you guys out there who have a PlayStation 5, you could probably better attest to me. Josh, you and Brank on the Super BS Games Cast have garnered, given it glowing reviews for it. I mean, Metaphor Fantasio is another game that scored really high. UFO 50 scored really high. That got ignored. They could have put that in place of the DLC or the remake. What about, like you said, they should have waited this and put this out maybe the first week of January, because they could have included Indiana Jones possibly as well.
Hey, Xbox Game Pass. Oh, so why do you not like Astrobot? I'm not poking at you. I'm just curious, like what your critiques of it are. I've heard different reviews on it too. So okay, yeah. I mean I see that. I think a lot of people were just kind of stoked that Astrobot was the first platformer that Sony has put out in a while. So yeah, I don't know. What are you, Gerald? Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I think the game looks great. Again, if I were to get a PlayStation 5, I'd probably get it just for that game. If there is no Uncharted 5 that's actually ever announced, I think that Astrobot, it looks really fun. It pays tribute to all the different facets of the world of PlayStation.
Yeah.
I know that Xbox, of course, is a huge Xbox fan, so I immediately there you go as we get into the tribalism there that we've talked about for so many years on this show. And I know the Mario fanboys as well are also, like crying foul over Astrobot because it's a pretty good platformer. Balatro is the one I think that a lot of people like because people get hooked on it. Once you start playing, you really get hooked on it. Black Myth Wukong has a really solid game. What I've seen, I really enjoy. I cannot wait until it comes to Xbox Series X. I think it's something that I think it's really, really solid out there, and I think it's something that should be lauded and praised. But I think getting to the game of the year, I think is probably the best it's going to do. But yeah, Astrobot, I think as a game from PlayStation, under the radar, because it came out around the same time as Concord. One for every Concord that fails, there's an Astrobot that succeeds. So I'm going to go ahead and say Astrobot again. I said it before on the show. I agree with you guys. I've actually watched about 2 hours of people playing it. Just before we went on that Super BS Gamescast show, talking about the VGAs because I
Yeah.
wanted to really get to know it a lot better. So I did see some walkthroughs. I'm really impressed by it. It really looks like it's a very polished platformer that is well done. Sorry, Xbox. I know that but Xbox does not have a platformer like this.
That's something they need
That's
to work on too. Like I hope they put something like that out. I mean, like I said, if they had a Spyro the Dragon come out, like that would be fantastic. But yeah, Astrobot, I really enjoyed it. And that's just my opinion on it. But like I really enjoyed it. And I think it's great that they're also trying to appeal to the speedrunning community as well. And that that's it. There's a lot of game there for a lot of different types of gamers, and I think that is all you can really ask for, especially you know in the current climate we're in.
I'm just disappointed again. Indiana Jones will get no love, and probably will get no love next year because even though it fits in that parameter for next year's voting, it's came out in December, so it'll probably be forgotten about by the time they start voting on games this time next year.
Yeah.
You'll see it on a lot of like IGN or GameSpots, or you'll see it on a lot of outlets, top 10 picks as far as Indiana Jones. And some people will have it as game of the year. Who knows? We may even have a game of the year. It downloads tomorrow, but unfortunately, it didn't make the VGAs. And I know it's all about the VGAs because of how much interest they garner and interest they generate. So yeah, we'll see what happens, but it is, of course, the VGAs. But before we head out, my friend, want to take a few minutes, just because we're going to go over an hour just to cut into some of the footage because you were going to get the babies and stuff. So I want to ask you your thoughts on some of the predictions that you have as far as games that might be introduced or videos are introduced, because that's why everybody watches the VGAs. They don't watch it for the winners. They watch it for what's being announced or what's being shown off.
Yeah, I mean, I know I've said this many times before. I really want to see a Spyro the Dragon sequel, and I know that's been rumored for a really, really long time. And I figure, what better place to announce something like that than at the VGAs? And also, I know not Uncharted, sorry, Naughty Dog's been working on some secret IP, so that kind of seems like a good place to put a spotlight on it. Though, what are your hopes? What are you holding out for here?
Yeah, I'm hoping it's an Uncharted 5, but I don't think it is. But it is some type of IP for Uncharted. Excuse me, Naughty Dog that we'll probably see at the VGAs. It's about time for that to happen. For the Xbox, I think E-Day for Gears of War.
Good choice. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something you're going to see more of, I think, at the VGAs. It's the biggest spotlight of the year for video games. There are more eyes on it from either casual or hardcore fans of the video game scene than anywhere at any time. So I'm going to say again, Xbox, even though it doesn't have a whole lot there that they've announced that's on the way, I think Gears of War E-Day I don't know how close it is. If it is anywhere close to doing a holiday 2025, they don't have anything announced for holiday 2025 as of yet. So we can see if that's going to be something that's going to try and face off against GTA 6. Will GTA 6 be there? That's a good question. And will GTA 6 still stay in 2025? That's another big question. Avowed, I think we'll get another good look at Avowed. I think the time and polish, the delay is going to serve Avowed well. And I think you should not underestimate Avowed because I think what I've seen looks pretty good. It's not the huge, large, expansive 100-hour plus world that Skyrim is all about, and et cetera, et cetera. This is something that's more concentrated and focused, and like Indiana Jones, a 15 to 25-hour adventure you might really want to get into.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, no doubt there are this coming year, there's a lot of really great experiences that are going to be worthy of our time. But so I feel like we thought this is going to be a good year for gaming. I think 2025 is going to be an even better year.
It will be. It will be. I think there's going to be a lot of stuff. February alone, God, some of these companies are just so stupid, man. They just drop, let's just delay it to February. Okay, once there's like 2 or 3 games, major, you know, mid-tier or higher end games that they drop in February, you would think the other companies would just like, oh, stay away, like Ubisoft.
Yeah.
This is just a poorly run company right now, man, because, okay, they delay Assassin's Creed Shadows. Fine, whatever. Make it even better than it is before. To me, I think it's really good. I might get back into Assassin's Creed Shadows, and I haven't been interested in Assassin's Creed Shadows since I saw 2 eyeballs and a skeleton face in Assassin's Creed Unity, and I haven't touched it since. This might get me back into Assassin's Creed because I really like what I see, but they delayed it. But they pushed it to February, a month that's already heavily congested. It just boggles my mind what Ubisoft is doing to really just send these games to die. Star Wars Outlaws, you should have just waited on that game, polished it, taken out some of those, stealth only game missions, and just do what you can to make it a run at an optimal level, and just bring it out in November as opposed to August. Just some of the things Ubisoft is doing right now. We talked about on the Super BS Gamescast about this could be the end or the beginning of the end for Ubisoft. But yeah, Assassin's Creed Shadows is something that we could see more of as well at the VGAs.
Yeah, most definitely. And I would hope that them delaying Assassin's Creed Shadows is going to give them time to polish the game, because I think that was announced for February, right?
Yes.
So that's going to hit the same month as Avowed. So they're going to be going up,
and several other games as well.
Yeah. So they're going to be going up against some, definitely have some competition there. So I don't know why they would put that game there, but because Assassin's Creed games traditionally release during the holidays, and that gives people October, November, December to finish it before whatever hits stores in January, February comes out. But I don't know. Like I said, I hope that they're just taking time to polish the game, make it good. And I'm not saying Valhalla was a bad game, but I hope it's better than what Valhalla was.
Are you still finished with that, or are you still OCD on that?
I'm still OCD, man. I turned it back on the other day, and they have like a Dark Souls type expansion that came out for it, to where like you keep going. You have to get all the way to the end, but every time you die, you start over, but you get to keep your like experience points. So you have to keep going and going and dying until you're strong enough to get to the very end of this thing. But it's part of the story though. Like, it has story elements in it that I need to catch before I move on. And I also know there's like another big expansion for it that is supposed to has more in-game content. I don't know, like if they're going into a new setting for the what was I gonna say, for the modern twist to the game, like I could probably not finish this one, but still, like, how my story OCD gets, man. I need to finish it.
You need help, my friend.
I do. Yes, absolutely.
But if you have thoughts on what you think will debut and appear at the VGAs coming up later this week, please let us know. popculturecosmos@yahoo.com. And I'm trying, can't promise out there, I'll try to schedule it if I can. Josh said maybe I'm going to try and reach out to more people to see if we could talk about all the reveals and all the stuff right after the VGAs are over on Thursday night. Didn't say it's a for sure thing, but if we can, we'll try to work out here at the Pop Culture Cosmos indeed. So for Josh the Great Peterson, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the Pop Culture Cosmos. Thank you for listening. And here's hoping you have yourself a great